Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Tonight we have breaking news as we come on the air. Severe storms slamming New York City in the Northeast. The flooding emergencies playing out. Drivers rescued from their cars. The states of emergency at this hour, and tonight the images coming in here. Up to 3 inches per hour from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia to New York. Major highways in the New York City area flooded. Water rescues underway. More than 1,500 flights canceled. More storms coming tonight. Lee Goldberg is here. Also tonight, severe turbulence rocking a Delta passenger jet. Passengers and food carts hitting the cabin ceiling. 25 passengers and crew rushed to the hospital. Tonight, shocking arrest. You'll see the pictures just in here. A mother and father killed on a hiking trail. Their 2 young daughters right there. Tonight, a 28-year-old teacher is now under arrest at what we just learned. In New York City, the chilling survivor story tonight from inside that deadly rampage at that Park Avenue high-rise office building. As the shooter was coming toward a worker with that long gun, she says she threw her arms in the air and said, "I'm the cleaning lady." He opened fire, and how she got away. The alarming images just in tonight, the attempted abduction of a toddler at a shopping mall. Why authorities want the public to see this video and what they're now saying about it. Tonight, 24 hours after May that Jeffrey Epstein stole young women who worked at his Mar-a-Lago resort from the spa. Virginia Giuffre, who said she worked at Mar-a-Lago, her family now speaking out, telling the president not to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Overseas tonight, the dire humanitarian crisis playing out in Gaza. Hundreds of Palestinians risking their lives for food. Ian Panel off the Gaza border. Medical records revealing Hulk Hogan's cause of death now. And tonight we learn of a personal battle he was facing for quite some time. Tonight, singer and actor Justin Timberlake revealing he's battling a debilitating disease, what Timberlake is now sharing. And the lightning bolt hitting the U.S., stretching 515 miles. That lightning bolt hitting 3 states at once. From ABC News.
But first, breaking tonight, shedding word road. Council John Jones' report shows that the Clinton campaign sought to discredit candidate Trump in 2016 by tying him to Russia. The Senate Judiciary Committee making these documents public for the first time just hours ago, with Chairman Chuck Grassley decrying what he calls, quote, one of the biggest political scandals and cover-ups in American history. We're trying to details. Steve, Dave.
Good evening. Firms investigate the House State divide and at least 30 campaigns. First opened the foundation tied to liberal philanthropist Soros. We're told that during according to about a Clinton campaign advisor named Jewel will be alarmed to Dean. Now it's find another email allegedly wrote HR meeting Hillary a idea of Trump and Russia select just you during your campaign or Russian disinformation, but the FBI dismissed the information. Quote, any investigative steps actually haven't taken to corroborate or disprove the allegations. The White House hours ago, Brett, pouncing on this news.
This is further evidence that Hillary Clinton approved the Russia hoax against President Trump. Her campaign financed it. Again, she approved it.
Reports of President Obama's security, CIA Director John Brennan.
I stand ready to continue to talk about the assessment and what we did during that period of time. There was absolutely no conspiracy, and we continue to stand behind what it is that we said publicly.
Attorney General Pambani.
Palestine as a state. We appreciate that. I don't decisionize Palestine as a state.
We appreciate that, actually. Rewarding bad behavior is just...
And how the U.S. president is linking Canada's support for a Palestinian state to a trade deal.
Didn't like that.
Parts of BC burning. It's terrifying. The scores of people in the crosshairs of out-of-control wildfires. Plus, using AI to help people poisoned by snakes.
Hopefully can come up a drug that's better than anything out there.
A solution that could slither into reality and save lives. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with breaking news. President Trump has made good on his threat to impose 35% tariffs on some Canadian imports. The White House says Trump signed an executive order to that effect late today. Earlier today, Trump had said he didn't like that Canada intends to recognize Palestine as a state. It said it could make trade negotiations very tough. This is what Trump's Commerce Secretary said on Fox News.
Come on, don't be so tone deaf, right? The president is totally into trying to get peace in Gaza, and you're throwing your hat in the ring from Canada.
But late today, the White House issued a statement that made no mention of Canada recognizing Palestine. Instead, it repeated claims about the illicit drug Canada to the U.S. Canada failed to cooperate in curbing the ongoing flood of fentanyl and other illicit drugs, the White House said, and it has retaliated against the U.S. for the president's actions to address this unusual and extraordinary threat to the United States. It says, in response to Canada's continued inaction and retaliation, President Trump has found it necessary to increase the tariff on Canada from 25 to 35% to effectively address this existing emergency. We will get to reaction to Canada's policy shift on Palestine in just a moment, but we begin with Taria Isri on where things stand with trade.
Hello, welcome to Daybreak here on France 24. I'm Yuko Yatade. Coming up in the program, the US's trade deadline now come and gone. Washington slapping steep new tariffs on dozens of countries, including a 35% hike on Canada. The move marking a decisive shift away from decades of free trade, signaling a new era of economic protectionism. The U.S.'s special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, arrives in Israel ahead of a planned visit to Gaza. Witkoff on a mission to assess the worst humanitarian firsthand as images of starving children fuel global outrage and accusations that Israel is creating mass starvation in the territory. Ukraine's parliament overwhelmingly supports a bill to restore the independence of two anti-corruption watchdogs, the move triggering celebrations from anti-graft protesters after President Zelensky's controversial move last week to curb the agency's powers. Demonstrators are calling it a major win for accountability and transparency.
Mercy and forgiveness. This story. Hiroshima from father to daughter. A second on DW.
This is DW News live from Berlin. Donald Trump sets new trade tariffs for a swathe of U.S. trading partners. The new levies will come into effect in 7 days, but not for U.S. neighbor Canada, who face new 35% tariff from Friday. Also coming up, Germany's foreign minister warns Israel against expelling Gazans and taking Palestinian territory. UN advises Israel risks further international isolation. I'm Tommy Oladipo. Welcome to the program. The White House has announced new trade tariffs for dozens of countries just hours before a self-imposed midnight deadline. President Trump has signed a new executive order imposing higher levies on imports of trade partners ranging as high as 41%. These are due to come into effect on August 7th. Now, the White House has separately announced that many goods from neighboring Canada will face a new 35% levy. How might Canada react to this investment? I asked CBC journalist Evan Dyer in Ottawa.
Well, there is pressure within Canada from a very
Hello and a very good morning to you. This is Sky News at 5 a.m. here in the UK. These are your latest headlines. President Trump's tariffs are back as it hits midnight in the US. A new sweep of duties comes into force, some as high as 50%. Meanwhile, the US president sends his special envoy into Gaza to come up with a plan to tackle the growing catastrophe for Palestinians. Steve Witkoff expects to come aid distribution centers there, but an American doctor is urging him to visit Gaza hospitals to see the desperation there for himself.
I would like to have Mr. Witkoff come here.
Hello and a very good morning to you. President Trump's tariffs are back. Countries without
plans to silence migrant hotel critics.
Leaked emails exposed by the Telegraph newspaper reveal a secretive Whitehall unit is targeting social media posts critical of migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
It raises fears of a government crackdown on free speech.
The move has sparked accusations of censorship, with critics claiming that the government is stifling free speech amid rising concerns over immigration policies.
Shocking new figures reveal foreigners make up 1 in 8 of the prison population, with experts pointing to record immigration fueling the problem.
The 90-day pause on Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs expire. The US government announces sweeping new levies, scores of countries.
A year since the summer of unrest, today we return to the heart of our communities where anger erupted and the pressures of migration are still being felt.
You should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
The Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp encourages people to call out crime as he recalls his own experience policing in an interview with our political editor Christopher Hope.
And Yorkshire bursts with pride as the county celebrates Yorkshire Day. We'll be joining the festivities with vibrant markets, music, street games, all showcasing the best of local makers, food and culture.
And as a local councillor has stepped down so that his wife can take part in their town's gardening competition, we're asking, should you give up your career for your partner?
And in sport this morning, well, in the 5th test, England have the edge just about after a rainy first day, which left Chris Wokes with a suspected dislocated shoulder. West Ham's Lucas Paquetá may sue the FA after being cleared of match fixing, and probably the biggest sports news of the week, if not the summer, the first ever North London derby played in Hong Kong. Tottenham Hotspur beat Arsenal 1-0.
Ahead of a potentially very windy spell early next week, we've got some fine weather on offer over the next few days. Still a few showers, but otherwise plenty of sunny spells coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
On AC and ABC iView.
Today, the US tariff on most Australian goods to remain at 10%, with the government saying it will continue negotiating with the White House.
We will continue to put the argument to the United States that they should remove all tariffs on Australian products.
Progress on Indigenous wellbeing in the spotlight at the 25th Annual Garma Festival. The ASIO boss reveals the scale of the relentless attacks on Australia from foreign spies. And a blow to the Tasmanian Liberals, with a key independent ruling out working with the party to form a minority government. Welcome to ABC News. son Rothschilds. Australia's Trade Minister Don Farrell says the government will continue to push for all US tariffs to be lifted after Donald Trump revealed his new tariff regime. The White House retained the baseline 10% tariff on most Australian goods. The Trade Minister says free trade between the two nations is the government's goal.
We don't want to leave the issue here. We believe in free and fair trade, and we will continue to put the argument to the United States that they should remove all tariffs on Australian products in accordance with our free trade agreement.
US neighbour Canada is being hit with one of the highest tariffs at a rate of 35% instead of the 25% that was initially announced in April. Other countries in the
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Ronnie Samtani. Donald Trump's tariff deadline has passed. Countries have been racing against time to strike last-minute trade deals. The U.S. president has unveiled sweeping levies for more than 70 countries. In Asia, rates land below expectations for much of the region, with Malaysia, Thailand, and Cambodia securing lower levies, while Myanmar and Laos face the highest duties. And Myanmar forms a civilian-led interim government ahead of planned elections this year, but military chief Min Aung Hlaing remains in charge.
Africa News. The news.
The government of Angola announced that the number of fatalities from violent protests against a fuel price increase had climbed to 22 on Wednesday, up from the previous day's count of 4. The arrest began on Monday when minibus taxi associations initiated a 3-day strike in response to the government's decision to rise diesel prices by 1/3, part of a strategy to reduce expensive subsidies and strengthen public finances. Violence, looting, and confrontations with police erupted in the capital, Luanda, and subsequently spread to other provinces. A statement from the presidency also reported 197 injuries and 1,214 arrests, while 66 shops and 25 vehicles were vandalized. Additionally, some supermarkets and warehouses were looted, according to the statement.
Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine says the political climate in the country is declining in the run-up to next year's presidential election. Wine, a singer-turned lawmaker, is President Yoweri Museveni's main rival. It's a dangerous role to have, Wine says.
The situation has gone from bad to worse. Down the nerves of all those that work with me and all those that stand for what I stand for, but also our resistance has increased. We've had an increased membership, we've had increased speaking out, and our resolve has become firmer.
Wine, who describes himself as a ghetto president, has a strong following among working-class urbanites. Despite his doubts about the electoral process, he says it's vital his supporters turn out to vote in January.
Museveni will not be removed by the vote alone. Many other things have to be added, but the legitimacy has to be owned, because even if we picked up guns and kick Museveni out, we will be just another group of violent people. We will not have the legitimacy. We must get the legitimacy from the people. We must have people make a choice. With choice, they will fight for if subverted. I would not discourage people from going to the polls, because in any case, you've seen so many leaders claiming that they don't believe in elections, but when it's election time, they're the first to register, they're the first to nominate.
Wine's resolve is firm, but he set himself a difficult task. Museveni has ruled Uganda since 1986, and the country hasn't had a peaceful transfer of power since independence in 1962.
London-listed Endeavour Mining has announced, along with 2 other gold producers, their agreement to transition to Mali's new mining code, according to government officials. This code, which increases taxes and aims to transfer significant ownership of mining assets to the state, has led to intense conflicts within mining companies since its implementation in August 2023, contributing to a 23% decline in Mali's gold production last year, totaling 51 metric tons. On state television late Monday, Finance Minister Aluseni Sanu and the Minister of Mines revealed a new memorandum of understanding with Somika SA, an entity that is 80% owned by Endeavour and 20% by Malian government, along with Fabula Gold and Bagama Mining. The specifics of the agreement were not made public. Although Mali ranks among Africa's leading gold producers, regulatory uncertainties have regularly impacted both investment and production.
One of the new bombs developed by Turkey as it positions itself as a major defense exporter. Under the Civil Defense Center there in Istanbul earlier this week, the conventional aircraft bomb has a warhead weighing 970 kilograms. Officials say or ROF is a thermobaric weapon, sometimes referred to as a vacuum bomb. It uses oxygen mixed with fuel to create a high-temperature explosion. The second charge ignites after the initial detonation, making the weapon much more destructive than other non-nuclear bombs of a similar size, with a blast radius of a kilometer. It's been described by state-linked media as the NATO country's most powerful air-launched conventional weapon. The other bomb, known as the Hayalet or Ghost, is a bunker buster capable of penetrating up to 7 meters of reinforced concrete. It can also be dropped from a US F-16 fighter jet. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has plans to strengthen the country's deterrence capabilities.
Down his former students telling us about his strange habits in the classroom. Inside, dozens ended up in the hospital because of intense turbulence. Why a passenger fell and airlines are trying to cut down these rising dangerous incidents. Plus,
Everyone was here that day working their ass off, and you were nowhere to be found.
also tonight you'll about his diagnosis and how
Now.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Officials in Gaza say Israel's killed at least 111 Palestinians over the past 24 hours, including 91 people seeking food and aid. Over 800 Palestinians have been injured in the deadliest incident on Wednesday. At least 51 were killed by Israeli forces as they headed toward aid trucks at the Zikim crossing. On Wednesday, Palestinians gathered at Al Shifa Hospital to mourn the deaths of family and friends killed on Tuesday while seeking aid.
For 4 days, you couldn't find any food of hunger. In intensive care units, you find them starving with nothing to eat, or we've got the places of death, the places of killing and destruction, where we go to end up bringing our children to prison.
On Wednesday, Canada became the latest country to announce plans to recognize a Palestinian state, joining recent calls by France and the UK. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke in Ottawa.
Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025.
I'm Jeff Bennett. On the NewsHour tonight, President Trump extended a deal with next by another 90 days, fueling speculation he could announce pauses for other countries ahead of his Friday deadline.
A record number of Senate Democrats support a failed bid to weapons Israel.
Hello, thank you very much for being with us. You are watching Amish Shakil 5858 and I am Amir Budnam, reported by